Folks, you're probably wondering, I need to get a divorce. What if a divorce in that situation, one spouse does not want to leave? What do I do? Well, this is the video for you. I'm your host, Evantz Saint-Gerard, and my special guest is Michael Freed. Michael, let's get into it. Let me just read the question again. What happens when one spouse completely refuses to cooperate in the sale of the home?
So what happens often is you work out an agreement, everybody's on board, it's signed, you're ready, you think everything is done, and then somebody decides, I got buyer's remorse. I don't want to sell. So what do we do in those instances? Well, first thing I'm going to do is first of all, in our agreements, we have what's called the default provision, saying that if anybody violates any provision in the agreement, the non-defaulting party writes a certified mail to the other side saying you're in default of page 10, paragraph 5, regarding the sale of the home. If you do not cure this default within 15 days, then the non-defaulting party has the right to go back to court and seek counsel fees for having to make this application. Great. Now that's usually a deterrent. People don't want to have to go to court, but in my 29 years, I've had instances where people say, well, I don't care. I'll go back to court. In that instance, what we'll do is I'm representing the non-defaulting party and the other side doesn't want to cooperate with the sale. And it could be anything. It could be that they are refusing to sign documents, refusing to let the realtor into the home. I will file a motion to the court requesting that, first of all, trying to hold the other side in contempt for failure to comply with the agreement, but also asking for the appointment of a receiver to handle all aspects of the sale and asking that the defaulting party pay those costs for the receiver pending the sale that would come from the defaulting parties their 50% share of the net proceeds. So that and then ask on top of that for counsel fees for having to make the application. So it's a long drawn out process. And I will tell you, Evans, I mean, I've had situations where it's taken 2 or 3 years to sell a home because of somebody's obstinance and dilatory tactic.
Does this also include like if one spouse decides not to pay the mortgage?
If So what happens is that usually happens when you are putting a house on the market. There's usually a provision that says that until the sale of the home, the parties will maintain the status quo, whereby, you know, the mortgage will be paid by the husband or the mortgage will be paid by the wife. And if one party doesn't pay the mortgage, then it's instead of getting a temporary receiver involved, we would go back, file a motion for contempt, and request that the monies be reimbursed or that the monies be paid towards the mortgage so that they would be paid in full. So yeah, we would end up making these posts. It's really basically a post-judgment motion to the court to ask for the relief. Usually, again, it's a motion for contempt, and if they fail to abide by the terms of the order, they could be subject to incarceration.
My next question is, how often do you see these driven by emotion rather than money?
100%. I mean, that's what divorce is emotion, everything about it. Nobody's happy to be giving up their assets, especially their most important asset, which is the home. And, oftentimes and especially when you have children involved, it's highly emotional and, some people just don't know when to stop. And that's even when you think you have, and I tell clients this, it's great you have an agreement, but don't be surprised if there are issues that come up. It's rarely is a smooth process.
What advice would you give to someone who's dealing with an uncooperative spouse or ex, soon to be ex?
So again, document everything and make sure everything is in writing and that if there's what you perceive as a default in the agreement, put it in writing. Remind your ex-spouse you have an obligation and you haven't paid because that's part of our application to the court saying my client has tried through many different measures, through writings, and here they are, Exhibit A through C. And notwithstanding all these efforts, the other side has refused to comply. Stay organized, keep everything documented. It's always important to have a paper trail as to somebody's default.
All right. And what's the best way to protect yourself financially during this difficult process?
Well, I mean, if somebody's not paying a mortgage, the worst thing that could happen is the house going into foreclosure. If you have the financial ability to do so, you want to make sure you don't, and if you're on the mortgage, you want to make sure that the the mortgage is paid, even if it's the other side's obligation, and then seek to get reimbursement through the courts. You always have to look out for your interests here and make sure you're not subject to foreclosure, but the other side always has that obligation to be paying. So you want to make sure you enforce your rights through post-judgment motion practice.
All right. So for the viewers who are watching this right now and they're dealing with something similar to this or something exactly like this, and they think divorce might affect their situation in the next 6 to 12 months, what should we do besides give you a call and give me a call? What's the other thing they should do?
Stay organized. Organization is key. Make sure you have all your documents together. Make sure you have your income information, keep your tax returns, keep your pay stubs, keep any in terms of closing documents, any proof of separate property. Organization is everything when it comes to divorce. And making sure that you have everything, set up so that myself as an attorney I have all the evidence I need. And like I've said, evidence to me is like food. It's my way of survival. If the more food I have, the more evidence I have, the better I can serve you as your attorney.
With that being said, we want to make sure that we're helping people, bring everybody to the table so everybody can eat. How can they reach you?
Best way to reach me is by email. So my email address is mfreed at berkbot, berkbot.com. So it's FRIED at berkbot.com. My telephone number is 212-867-9123. We have offices in Nassau County, New York City, Westchester, and also in Boca Raton, Florida.
I know about the Boca part, but that's great to know also. Well, for me, if you need my assistance when it comes to the real estate portion, give me and my team a call. My number is 917-975-5985. Again, that number is 917-975-5985. We specialize in Queens, Long Island, Brooklyn, Bronx. My business partner is licensed in Florida as well, so maybe Boca might be something that we need to discuss later on value in this video. If you have a friend, family who's dealing with the situation or it's on the horizon, definitely reach out to us. You have questions, we're here to answer them. I'm Evantz Saint-Gerard. I want to say thank you to everybody who's viewing this, and do not be afraid. Pick up that phone, call us. Have a great day.